Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And, you know, on the heels of my video yesterday, I was kind of thinking last night, and you guys know that I believe very much in, like, the connectivity of life, and I always talk about, I used to talk about this, like, blue, I would say blue or red string, which is interesting, hold on. I used to talk about, like, this blue string or red string that, like, connected everything in life, and I believe that. Like, I believe that not everybody and not everything, but I do believe that some people are put in our lives for reasons. You know, I'm very much a believer that people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I also believe that certain things that happen to us to teach us lessons, and that lessons are repeated until they are learned. I very much believe in that. You know, I believe that spirituality is of the soul. It is not necessarily found in any church, temple, or, you know, whatever. It can be found on a mountaintop. It can be found in a drive out in the country with the music blasting and the windows open, you know. I believe that spirituality is truly of the soul. I think it's of the spirit. And that's why I talk so much about it, because I think that it is important for us to figure out who we are as soul beings. And I know this is very new agey of me to talk about, but I'm trying to talk about it in kind of like layman's terms to make sense, to explain, you know, like how I really feel. So in talking about ourselves in terms of our souls or who we are as people, that means that you have to strip away all physicality, right? You know, take away the hair, take away the skin, take away the clothes, the house, all of that, right? Who are you when all of that is gone? Like if you just think of yourself as this being, okay? If you just take away the hair, the family, the friends, everybody, who are you at your core? Like, what does that person speak of, if that makes sense? And that has kind of been something that has been a goal of mine, I would say, for the last 23 years since I've been sober, but really, I would say in the last 5 or 10 years, I have focused a lot on trying to find out, especially in the last 5 years, on really who is my soul, you know, and trying to fit, or what is my soul and all that. And, you know, when my mom passed away, before that, she was, you know, very sick, and we had a conversation, and she said, when I am gone, do not get attached to my body. I believe I am just a bag of soul. And so when she passed away, it was very, very easy for me to look at her body and not be connected to that, because I realized that that wasn't her, really. And I can't even explain it to you other than that. You know, like I see pictures of her and I cry because I think of my mom, you know, or I feel joy because I had those experiences with her. So in that terms, I was connected to the body, but like not really. I was connected to what the body was, you know, covering up inside, which was my mother's beautiful soul. So, and she had, listen, my mother had character defects and personality traits of her own that were not always beautiful. But when I see her body, what I'm equating to that is really what her soul spoke of, if that makes sense. So the question is, what does your soul speak of? Who are you really? Who are you when no one is looking, if that makes sense, you know? And I think a lot of times, you know, if you really want to know, like my best friend always says this, right? If you really want to know who I am, ask my husband, ask my best friend, ask my, you know, my mom. Ask people who see me when nobody is around to watch, if that makes sense, you know? Who really are you in your, like, quietest moments? Who are you when nobody else sees you? Because that's really who you are. Who are you in your head, if that makes sense? And I talk a lot about this on here. You know, just yesterday I talked about how do I stay positive through things. And the day before I had done like a Q&A and somebody had asked me on my main channel, like, how do you stay so positive? And I'm like, I'm really not that positive all the time. And then yesterday I was like, you know, no, I kind of want to talk about this. And today I'm kind of like, you really, Peter, you really are pretty positive on a daily basis. Like, I really am, you know? I have a lot of peace of mind. I have a lot of serenity. I'm very positive. I laugh all the time. I cry all the time, you know? Somebody put in a comment, I saw something the other day that somebody said something about, he cries too much for a grown man, and I thought, well, how much is a grown man supposed to cry? You know, how much is anybody supposed to cry? Like, that's an emotion, right? And I'm so blessed today that I am able to feel my emotions appropriately, that I am able to cry and feel joy and cry and feel sadness and laugh and, you know, about funny things and not take my life too seriously at the same time to take things seriously enough that are appropriate, if that makes sense. But how do you get there? You know, how do you do that and work on yourself? Well, the reality is this, and I think that each of us knows what our shit is, right? I think each of us knows what our issues are and who we really are as people. Like, if you're a really hateful, ugly person inside your head, maybe nobody knows that. Maybe people are like, oh, Mrs. Smith, I mean, she is the nicest woman in the entire world, and, you know, she would do anything for anybody, and maybe that's who you are on the outside. But on the inside in your head, you like wish horrible things on people, and you just aren't really that pure souled, and that makes sense. Like, that's who you are. It isn't who people perceive you to be. That's who you are, okay? And, you know, I've made a very, very conscious effort in the last 5-10 years to really work on myself and be honest with myself, because at the end of the day, nobody else matters, right? On who are you, Peter? Like, what are the things that you work on, and what are the things you really value? And the things I really value are being more compassionate, being more understanding and tolerant, you know, being patient with people, which is hard for me. You know, really being a more loving, kind person on a daily basis. Trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes and say, what is it like to be that person for a day? What's it like to walk around in their shoes? Because I will never know, you know? So to have empathy with people. And I think that empathy is really, really important. If you meet somebody, or if there's somebody in your life that is unable to feel empathy towards somebody else, right? Like, if you say to somebody, wow, like, you know, you really hurt my feelings, and their response to you is, get over it, like, that's a really dangerous person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a person that has no self-awareness whatsoever. I think empathy is something that, you know, empathy and sympathy are things that we can work on, you know? Because when we look at anybody in any situation, we can say, wow, I wonder what it would be like to be in that person's shoes. And I think that those are goals that we can have. And nobody's perfect. These are things that we're going to work on our whole life, right? And this is why people are put in our lives. And this is why certain lessons are put in our lives, for us to grow. So that in reality, what is the meaning of life? And what is the world? Well, I believe the world is a school, and that we're constantly here learning and teaching ourselves. But that doesn't mean that we're going to know everything right like that, you know? And it doesn't mean that, like, right away we're going to have all of the answers. You know, I have not met that many people that are that wise at 13 years old and are just, like, wise forever. Now, I will say I've known a few people that by 18, 19 kind of have their shit all figured out, and they kind of live that life. I mean, I've known, I would say, in my lifetime of knowing thousands upon thousands of people, I'd say maybe one or two I've known like that, right? But very, very few. And I think those are old souls that just kind of get it from the very beginning. You know, yesterday people were asking me, I have been wearing this red string on my wrist, and people were asking me, you know, where I got that, and a couple of people said, oh, I got a Kabbalah bracelet too. It's not a Kabbalah bracelet, so I want to explain what it is. A friend of mine is Indian, Hindu, and there is apparently some holiday, I don't know, I'm speaking kind of out of my ass a little bit, but I just wanted to share what this was, because I love this bracelet. And it's something about the end of summer, and it's where, like, siblings give these bracelets to each other, or people that feel brotherly or sisterly towards somebody, out of brotherly or sisterly love, give it to somebody just to basically say, I love you. And it's like a blessing or like a protection thing or good luck, whatever. And so she put it on me the other day, and she said, you feel brotherly to me and I love you. So she said, I want to give you this bracelet. So I was thinking about that because I keep on looking down at it, right? And every day I'm looking down at this bracelet and I'm thinking to myself, like, that's how I want people to see me. That's how I want people to think of me in my life, you know, is that, like, I'm somebody that you could trust like a brother, and you love me. So I want people to, in my personal life, I don't really, you know, the rest of it I really don't care about, quite frankly. But like my personal friends and family, I want them to feel that way towards me always. You know, that I'm a pure energy, that I'm a pure soul, that when I come through the door, they can always trust me. And that's how I've really, like, I've worked towards being that person, and that I suit up and show up, and I'm where I'm supposed to be, you know, when people need me. And that sometimes I'm just an ear on the other end of the phone. I don't always have to be, you know, a voice. And what I mean by that is that sometimes it's important just to listen and not always talk. And that I can, you know, give my friends and my family what they need and always be there for them. And to do that, you know, so I was thinking about that. I kept on looking down this red bracelet, and it was reminding me of that. And so to do that, I know the way to doing that is through compassion, kindness, love, you know, acts of altruism, which means you do things and you don't tell anybody about them. You just do them because they're the right things to do, kind things to do, random acts of kindness. Loving, more pure-hearted, you know, more forgiving, more tolerant on a daily basis. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking there are moments that I forget, right? Like there are moments that I like get off base, and I start getting in my head and spinning, and we all do that, right? Like, oh, screw that person and whatever. And so I knew, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about I looked down at the red string, and I was like, I need a blue string on my wrist, right? So I went and I got this blue string. I had it for this other thing. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a simple blue string, and I just went and got it, and I tied it around my wrist because I wanted something to remind me. You can do it too if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. I wanted something to remind me to stay positive, to stay compassionate, to stay loving, and to stay kind. And, you know, I talk about the blue hearts on here on my channels, and blue hearts for compassion and love and the wolf pack and all that stuff. But blue for me is, I love the color blue. And blue for me is a color of, I think, soul purity a little bit. Like when I see it, I feel enriched, I feel happy, I feel peace. Like blue is for me the ocean. Blue for me is the sky. Blue for me is serenity and peace. And so when I looked down at this bracelet, I just put it on this morning, I'm hoping to remember to be more compassionate, more loving, more kind, and, you know, to, I don't know, be that way towards everybody else. And if I get off base, I can just look down at this bracelet, and maybe that will remind me a little bit. And I know that's corny, you know, but I think we all need reminders in life to get back on track. You know, we all kind of like, our life, we're sometimes like way off like this, and then other times, you know, I think it's important to have reminders of that. And so I put the blue string on because I want my soul to improve. I want to remain teachable. I don't want to ever, you know, stop learning. I don't think we ever graduate from life. I think we continue to learn, and I think once we learn one lesson, we go into the next lesson. I think life truly is like a school, and we just continue to go up and up and up, and it's like you never really graduate. You just continue to go to the higher level. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.